What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time that was sent in to me by a subscriber about one of their cousins that apparently thinks that all gamers are just ugly. You know, everyone that plays video games instantly just turns into like a medieval witch, boils and all. Seriously, I just thought it was a pretty insane story time y'all would enjoy, so it's what we're going to be talking about today. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so this guy had a cousin that he hadn't seen in a while that was like one of those preppy, I'm just better than everybody type of people. You know, the types that like act like they belong to a yacht club even though they've never been on a boat. They act like they own a private jet even though they're like the last boarding group. Just the type of people that think they're better than everybody. And he hadn't seen this particular cousin in a while, mainly because he just didn't like to hang out with them. But on this particular day, his mom was throwing a family party, so everyone was going to be coming over. And he had said hi to everybody, and then with the permission of his mom, had like gone back upstairs. Just didn't really feel like hanging out, maybe a little bit of an antisocial move, but whatever. He was just on his computer playing games with his friend when he hears a knock on his door, and not wanting to be rude to any of the family that was over at his house, he was just like, all right, come in, hello, who is it? And the door opens and it's his cousin, and his cousin sits there with her arms folded for a second, just kind of staring at him, and he's a little bit confused, so he's like, hi, how are you, what's up? And she says something along the lines of like, you need to come downstairs and hang out, it's boring down there. And obviously he knew that like some of his cousins were going to give him crap for playing video games, but he didn't really feel like hanging out. So he says like, I don't really want to. And she says something like, come on, I never see you, please come hang out downstairs. And because they hadn't seen each other in a while, he says, all right, fine, I'll come downstairs, just let me finish this game. And his cousin rolls her eyes and is like, fine, whatever, and slams the door and leaves. And he thought it was a little weird that she slammed the door, but he thinks like, all right, maybe she wasn't prepared for how easy it is to close or something. Like, you ever closed a door for the first time and accidentally slammed it? I've done it a few times, maybe it's that. But whatever, he finishes his game and he starts going downstairs, and as he's going downstairs, he hears the cousin that had just been knocking on the door to his room, talking very loudly to the family, just going off about how he's so pathetic and she can't believe that he was playing video games when his family was here, and that like, he might as well just go ahead and commit to being single forever now, because there's no way a girl would ever like a guy who plays video games. And he was just confused because he thought he had been nice by saying, I'll be down after this game. So he goes around the corner and says something along the lines of like, you know I can hear you, right? Thinking that his cousin would be a little bit embarrassed and be like, oh my gosh, sorry, I didn't know you were right there. He didn't like that she was talking trash, but whatever, thought she'd be apologetic. But when he says, you know I can hear you, she says, good, I wanted you to hear me. And he's like, what's your problem, man? I was just playing video games. It's something that I like to do. Why do you hate it so much? And she says that, you know, no girls are ever gonna like a guy who plays video games. Which, listen, I just don't think that's very true. Like, especially nowadays, bro. Every dude just plays video games. If girls never liked anyone that plays video games, like, most of the population is off limits at that point. I'm not saying everyone's like some insane gamer that's addicted to video games, but if anyone ever having touched a video game controller puts them on the do not date list, that's a very long list, you know? Either way, he was kind of like, all right, well, if no one wants to date me because I have a hobby that I like, well, then I guess no one wants to date me. Like, I don't want to be with somebody that's going to demand I change anyways. Which might be a little bit too much of a practical answer to the question. I feel like when someone's just being so dumb like this, just saying things that make no sense, you shouldn't really respond nicely. But he's trying to make a good point and be like, yeah, well, if somebody demands I give up something that I love, they're not a very good partner in the first place. And then she starts going off about how he used to be such a cute kid, but ever since he had started playing video games, he had just been getting uglier and uglier. Which, one, damn rude, bro. Like, imagine you haven't seen your family member in forever. You see them and the first thing you say is that they've gotten a lot uglier since the last time you were around. I understand some families like have that type of relationship, but usually if you're roasting your family members like that, it's because you're close to that person, you know, you spent time with them a lot. He hadn't seen this lady in forever, and she's just going off about how he's ugly, and so he's like, like, all right, well, that's your opinion. It'd be kind of weird if you thought I was attractive anyways, because you're my cousin. And she starts saying about how seriously, though, gaming is going to make him ugly, which I've never heard of. I've never heard of, like, any hobby that's literally going to make you uglier. Like, sure, are there hobbies that aren't good for your health or people deem unattractive? Yeah. But I don't think that, like, literally playing video games will turn you into some troll living under a bridge. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. And especially to just be like, yeah, playing video games 100% turns you uglier. In that case, bro, I am muy, muy feo. And his family members at that point kind of tell his cousin, okay, there's no reason to call him ugly. He's not ugly. Like, that's a little mean. And his cousin is trying to be all like, I'm the boss around here. So she tells those family members to shut it because she knows what she's talking about. And listen, I feel like the more somebody just tries to remind you that they're definitely an expert and they definitely know what they're talking about, the less they're an expert and the less they know what they're talking about. I'm just saying, every time I've talked to someone who's like insanely knowledgeable on a subject, they don't need to remind me that they know a lot about the subject because they just know a lot about it and it's obvious. Yeah, no, I'm something of an ugly expert myself. Well, how did you become an ugly expert? Are you ugly? Or on top of that, like, it's just a very weird thing to say that you can 100% confirm video games make you uglier. Like, how did you even measure that, bro? Did you have someone play video games for 40 days straight and then just, like, have people rate them? I don't know. I don't think there's anything good about playing video games 40 days straight either. Either way, at this point, the subscriber who sent this into me stands up for himself a bit and says, like, well, I'd rather have fun doing what I like and be ugly than have an ugly personality like you, which is a pretty good zinger, you know? It's a pretty solid comeback, especially if she's gonna be calling you ugly, say that you're a loser, all that. You get to roast her back, and he didn't even say she was ugly. He just said she had an ugly personality. And she gets all offended and was like, do you have any idea how rude that is to say to somebody? Which is hilarious to me. Oh yeah, it's so rude that he said you have an ugly personality after you had just decided to say that he had gotten so much uglier and he might as well get ready to die alone because no one was ever gonna like him. I mean, listen, I'm not saying you should have said you had an ugly personality, but if you compare the two, I don't think it's very comparable. Like, if this was a teeter-totter, your insult would be stuck on the ground and his would just be sky high, you know? Because, like, it's not weighted equally here. But whatever, he says something along the lines of like, how am I being rude if you practically did the exact same thing? Like, your insults were even worse. And she says that it's different because he's younger than her and he needs to respect his elders because his elders have more valuable opinions. And here's the thing, I've heard that a lot, respect your elders. And I do think there's something to be said for like, all right, a 45-year-old person has more life experience than you. But the cousin that's telling him that he needs to respect his elders because they know better is literally only like 6 months older than him. And that's always pissed me off, even if someone's like a year older than me. Oh, I know so much better than you. A year, man? Like, if you don't have at least 5 years on me, I don't want to hear, in my experience, come out of your lips. And especially if you're only 6 months older than me, there is no respecting my elders, bro. You just got lucky that your mom had you like 3 months earlier than she did me. And at that point, more of the family kind of laughs at his cousin because they think it's absurd too that she's telling him to respect his elders even though she's only like 6 months older than him. And she gets mad and asks them what they think is so funny. And one of his uncles says something along the lines of like, you're acting like you're so much older than him and you have so much more life experience, but you're only like 6 months older. And his cousin, true to form, just being entitled and out of touch, says something about how like 6 months is a lot of life and she's learned a lot of things in the last 6 months. Which, listen, I'm not saying that she hasn't learned a lot of things in the last 6 months, but come on, that's not enough time to like gain some insane wisdom compared to somebody else. If you guys are going through the exact same circumstances and you're just 6 months older, you don't know like an entire old book of wisdom more than this person. That's just ridiculous to think. But his uncle kind of says like, no, it's ridiculous. And his cousin decides to start going in on the uncle and she goes, oh, have you been playing video games? And the uncle is like, no, why? Kind of a weird question, but whatever. And the cousin looks at him and says, because you've gotten quite a bit uglier too. And at that point, he's like, whoa, you can't talk to me like that. Like, if you want to insult your cousin back and forth, that's one thing, which I disagree with, but you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm going to go tell your dad what you said. And she says, go ahead. Her dad's been playing video games and looks like crap too. And like, damn, bro, why are you so mad at everybody? everybody. I feel like even if I saw my uncle and he was a lot uglier than before, I don't care because it's my uncle. And even if he was uglier, it's kind of rude to remind somebody of that. Like, if you see someone and they look a lot worse, just keep your mouth shut. Don't look at him and go, oh, you are ugly, man. Like, that's just kind of rude. Even if they've gotten substantially uglier. No need to say that they've gotten substantially uglier. Anyways, the uncle she was roasting goes to tell her dad that she's being, like, insanely mean, and as soon as he leaves, she turns back to the subscriber and starts saying that, like, she knows video games are making him ugly, and she can probably even guess what game he's playing because he's gotten so ugly. And, obviously he's pretty curious because, like, apparently he's being ugly, but I've never heard of certain games doing certain things. Like, oh, you can tell this guy's addicted to Valorant because, he started looking like Yoda. Like, what is it, man? How do you tell which game someone's getting addicted to? But whatever, he's like, all right, yeah, what game am I addicted to? And he did play a lot of CSGO, like a metric butt ton of CSGO, whatever you're imagining in your mind, as to what a CSGO player is supposed to look like. But his cousin starts saying that, like, obviously he plays World of Warcraft and she can tell because da-da-da-da-da, and starts listing about everything that she finds ugly about him, which, man, if you are, like, an insecure person, having your relative just go off about, like, oh, your eyes are too far apart, your nose is weird, that would suck. But this guy really didn't care. He hadn't seen this particular cousin in forever, and even then, he really didn't care if his cousin thought he was ugly. Because, I mean, let's think about it. Unless you're planning on having some sweet home Alabama, your cousin thinking you're ugly literally means nothing to you. Like, alright. But what made it even funnier is she was so confident that she was roasting him and was like, and that's why you should quit World of Warcraft. Only issue is, dude didn't even play the game in the first place. So she goes on this rant and he starts laughing at her. And she's like, what's so funny about the fact that you're throwing your life away and you're gonna die alone? And he's like, well, with the confidence you were talking about how you know so much about video games and how they make people uglier, I expected you to at least be able to guess what game I play. And she's like, what do you mean? And he says he's literally never played World of Warcraft. And instead of just being like, oh, never mind, she starts doubling down, saying that she knows that he plays World of Warcraft just based on how he looks, which I've literally never heard someone say that before. Like, oh, you look like a Call of Duty guy. How do you even look like a video game? But even then, if the person says, no, I don't play Call of Duty, it's really weird to me to go, no, you definitely do. Quit messing with me, man. I know a Call of Duty player when I see one. At that point, though, her dad comes into the room and is like, why are you insulting all your family members? What's going on? And she starts going off about how it's family's job to push family to be better, and how, you know, if it wasn't for family being honest, no one would ever know these things, da-da-da-da-da, which, listen, sweet in sentiment, right? Your family's gotta support you and uplift you and make you improve and be honest with you, because no one else will. Like, it's a good message, right? The only difference is I feel like there's a way to uplift your family members, be supportive, and point things out without just being as rude as humanly possible. Like, if someone was mad addicted to video games, playing 19 hours a day, I can understand why you would want to say something to maybe get them away from doing that all the time. But the way you do that isn't by going to them and being like, hey, you're so ugly. Oh my god, wow, you are really ugly. It looks like you were in a terrible biking accident like Lance Armstrong, where you just drug your face on the asphalt like it was against a cheese grater. My goodness, quit the video games. I don't think that's gonna make anyone be on your side. No one's gonna hear that and be like, you know what, that's really reasonable. I can't wait to live life the way you suggest. It's just mean. There's no reason to do it. But she's going off about how apparently it's helping her family. And the uncle she insulted is like, yeah, well, it doesn't really help the family at all if you just start degrading their interest and saying they're ugly. And she laughs and says that they have to get thicker skin. Keep in mind, this is the person who was getting insanely upset when anything was said about them. But as soon as she said they needed to have thicker skin, the subscriber who sent this to me said, oh, okay, well then you're a loser and you don't have any real friends. Why do you always have to hang out with family? Because, well, if you're gonna say that everyone needs thicker skin, then you should be able to take insults too, right? And immediately she's like, why would you say that? You know I'm sensitive about the fact that my friends don't like to hang out with me anymore. What's wrong with you? And the subscriber's like, what? I thought you just said that being thick-skinned was important. Maybe your friends don't hang out with you because you're unbearable. Which definitely was mean, but at this point, insults are being hurled back and forth. And she starts freaking out, and she's like, I'm gonna beat you up, da-da-da-da-da, and starts going for him. And he's laughing because he thinks it's hilarious. but the rest of the family doesn't, and so they break them up, and they're like, guys, calm down, not at grandma's, which I think is a very funny way to say that, like, not at grandma's. So if it was anywhere else, then throwing down would be perfectly cool. If we were in a public park, we would let you fight to the death, but we're at grandma's, all right? Let's keep it together. Anyways, as the family is separating them, she's just screaming about how he's ugly on the inside and the outside, and the subscriber is still laughing and is like, hey man, at least I can change what I look like. Your personality's ugly, you can't change that, and that's why your friends don't want to hang out with you. And listen, of course at this point he's just trolling, and I'm not saying it was the nicest thing he could have ever done in the world, but trolling somebody that's been insulting you, I feel like is pretty fair, to just start messing with them and pushing their buttons. I'm not saying I would recommend it, YouTube. If you're watching this, keep this video monetized, but y'all know what I'm saying. If somebody's messing with you and you mess with them back, that's even. That's not an unfair balance or anything. Anyways, since then he hasn't seen this cousin, but I just thought it was a pretty funny story time. Let me know in the comment section down below what type of ugly you are. Are you Valorant ugly, CSGO ugly, Skate 3 ugly? What's your game look going for? I've never heard of that before. I just thought it was funny. If you did enjoy the story time though, I'd appreciate y'all letting me know what you thought in the comment section down below and pressing the like button. And if you're new, definitely subscribe and turn on those notifications. I post videos like this every single day, and I would really appreciate the support. If you like the audio versions of these, I do post them over on Spotify, link down below. Feel free to go check that out. And there's also a link to a storytime playlist I made here on YouTube of my favorite stories of the year, so you can check that out, link down below as well. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Watch another one. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. I will be forced to beat you up in a sport combat setting.